We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance. The only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
Thank you all for participating in my new show, Civil Action. We got some exciting guests here today. We're going to talk about masks. Do we need them, or is it a left-wing pandemic hoax? Got some really exciting people who are going to add some testimony to that. Some have experienced COVID personally, some haven't, but yet they have real interesting experiences that they want to share nonetheless. So I want to introduce my guests. First off, Mr. Jason Rivers. Mr. Jason, how are you, sir?
Good, sir. And yourself?
Oh, man. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I've known you a long time, man, and I appreciate you taking time out of the day to be here with me. I have next Miss Andrea Ray. Miss Ray, how are you?
All is well with me, no complaints. All is well.
That's awesome. Well, you're in sunny Florida right now, right?
Yes, we are. Well, yes, I am here in sunny Florida. Enjoying this weather. They say we have a storm coming up the coast, but we shall see. We'll be here by Sunday, but it's a little one, so.
Right. Well, we want to definitely include you in on this because you're in the hot spot right now. And I have my childhood friend, that I've known forever since my early church days, Miss Cynthia Kenderson. She's here as well. Welcome, Cynthia, to Civil Action. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me. And
well, thank you for being here. I know you could be anywhere else in the world, but you're right here with me. So thank you, guys. Per the subject matter of the show, we're here to talk about COVID-19. COVID-19 is affecting the city and country, states all around the world, right? So everybody's experiencing it. I know, Jason, you and Andrea have had personal experiences, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Jason, why don't you start off with telling us, did you contract COVID?
I did, unfortunately, and rather early in the process. And to be honest, this is the first time that I've spoken publicly about it. I think I was the 7th case in Allegheny County, so it was rather fresh to our area.
Okay.
My professional work, I do a lot of travel, and I happened to be in multiple hotbeds at early March. Right before I tested positive. I was in the Detroit area, and I was also in New Orleans. Both have become hotbeds, as well as Newark, New Jersey. So I contracted it, and it was one of the most challenging things that I had gone through in my life. I'm grateful. I'm part of that high risk category. I have some issues with asthma and some other challenges that puts me in a more compromising state.
Sure.
So it impacted me on like a full-blown scale. I was moments away. I had to be hospitalized. I had, it impacted my respiratory like many, and I had pneumonia in both lungs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was moments from being, placed on a ventilator. Like my oxygen levels were extremely low. I know we'll get into it, but one of the things that served me well being in our city versus some of the horror stories that you hear in some other places, I think being early in the process, the medical care that I received here was like second to none. I'm really grateful to the team that took care of me, and family and friends and all the love and prayers and support and loved ones. That definitely got me through it. The choice of the lead doctor to introduce chloroquine in my healing process. I know there's a big political debate on whether that should be used or whether it shouldn't. I can't speak for anybody else, but I can say that had that not happened when it happened for me, I probably was going to be placed on a ventilator. And given my unhealthy conditions, we've also heard many of the stories of people recovering from, the ventilator. And for many reasons, I knew that wasn't going to be a good turn for me. And so the spiritual prayers, the team of doctors and the way that they dealt with me, the introduction of chloroquine and, some zinc, like, I think it helped me. I know that it helped me in my process. So,
okay. Well, let's bring in Andrea, because Andrea's in Florida right now, and I believe she also had an experience with COVID-19. And then we're gonna bring in Cynthia, because she has a perspective as well. So Andrea, why don't you tell us about your perspective and how COVID-19 affected you?
Okay, yeah. I am here in Jacksonville, Florida, which is pretty much 48 miles outside of Georgia. Georgia, has been open longer than Florida. We just opened up about a month and a half ago. And I contracted COVID-19 on June 25th. I was at work, and I work in the public, so we have to wear masks at work. But when I would do my activities outside of work, I wasn't wearing my mask. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of big controversy around that. So I started to not feel well. And I'm just thinking maybe because I needed to get something to eat. So I ate something that like boosted me up a little bit. But as the day was progressing, my bones started to ache, my back was aching, my legs were just achy. I was just like feeling like starting to feel drained. And I felt like a little congestion in my chest. And I'm thinking due to wearing the mask. So I'm just like, all right, I'll be fine. But my mother was like, no, you need to go ahead and go to the emergency room. So I ended up going. And that's when they ended up telling me that I contracted COVID-19. It took them about 2.5 hours to come back with my testing results. And they say that the ones you get in the emergency room are 85% accurate. So there's still another whole 15% that you actually don't have it, but that's far and few. A good thing is I'm a person who always takes my vitamins and my supplements. And zinc was actually one. I just wasn't taking a high dose of the zinc. I was only taking 50 milligrams of zinc versus 100 milligrams, which was recommended after leaving the emergency room. But I had an experience with it. And when I mean it wore me out. Death never entered my mind because I know life and power is in the death, and life and power is in your tongue. You know what I mean? Even though you still have to be mindful, you have to be considerate of what's going on. Thank you, Lord, I don't have any underlying conditions and everything like that. And as far as I know, I have a perfect bill of health.
Amen.
It's best that, like I said, you always take your vitamins, always take your supplements, always eat right and rest. And like I said, I live here in Florida, where we were a model state for a while of how we kept the virus at minimum, besides more so further down in Miami-Dade, like that area where it is a major tourist hub. But then now they opened up the states. They're no longer at the state line controlling who can come in and who can come out, because there's only two ways in Florida as far as being on the road besides flying in. And they were there up until 2 weeks ago, monitoring the movement in and out. They were making everybody pan over to the right to come in. Where have you been? If you've been in areas where were tested hotspots, we recommend you go quarantine. But now it's open. Anybody can come in. Anybody can go out. And what I see a lot of people now are doing, coming from up north, going down to Miami, partying, having a good time, and they're bringing COVID-19 back. Because a lot of them, are not going to quarantine for 14 days. And a lot of them are going back with their family, their friends, and their kids. And we know kids, they say, are carriers. So it's just a whole big controversy. But yeah, my experience with COVID-19, I didn't have to go back to the emergency room, but I was at home going through it. And that process was, oh my God, it took a lot. But I was able to overcome it.
So I get a call from my little cousin, who wants to tell me about an experience that she had at one of the parks. And, my first question in my mind was, well, what are you doing at the park? And, she said to me, they're wearing masks and, they're cleaning everything and, I feel safe and why not? And it, you know, it immediately occurred to me that people don't feel an immediate threat, you know, of COVID-19. I mean, so I said, well, you know, maybe, you know, we need to have a conversation about just how real is this, you know, this particular virus, or is this something that we really shouldn't be concerned about? I mean, you know, is this really something that, you know, the media is just, you know, using to scare us? You know, I mean, do these masks, or are they necessary? Is it a part of our, you know, our new, you know, our new life, you know, or is this something that, you know, we really, you know, for the most part should ignore? I invited Cynthia here because Cynthia has an interesting perspective on COVID-19. And Cynthia, you heard what Jason and Andrea just said. What's your perspective on all of this?
Well, first of all, I don't say that there isn't a virus. I believe it's
If you could just speak a little bit louder.
First of all, it's not that I don't believe there's a virus. I believe that the government tests and testing in different states. I believe that, like the government, it's like chess. Like they're always looking down the road. I believe that the mask, the question originally was asked, are you a mask? And I say no, because I don't believe the mask has anything to do with the virus now.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Cynthia, and what you're saying is important to me. Could you just raise your? I mean, I know you're a little soft spoken, but just raise your octave, maybe 1 or 2 clicks.
Is that better?
That's better, yes.
So, as I was saying, it's not that I don't believe that there's a virus. I believe that we're in a time of testing. If you look at the government, there is something called Agenda 2030. So it's not starting now. They're playing chess playing to get to 2030. It started a while ago. So all these are pieces on the puzzle. So when the question's asked to me, do I wear a mask or not? I say no. Because to me, a mask is not what's stopping the virus. Because if a mask is only to protect somebody from me, if you're saying that I have sickness within me and it's droplets, well, you can get droplets from my eyes, you can get droplets from my skin, you can get droplets from anywhere. You can get it from touching a desk or touching any surface, because the droplet will last over 72 hours. So if it's really that important to wear a mask, then you should have on a hazmat suit, you should have gloves, you should have something to protect your whole body, because it could get into your skin. Do I believe that what's happening now is real in certain states?
Do you believe what? Again, I can't hear you. Say that one more time. Do you believe what?
In certain states, that it's a little bit more serious. They're testing at different levels. Because if you look at Agenda 2030, it's basically about gentrification. So you can see all these chess pieces going about, like, for example, all the money they're giving out. Well, all the money that they're giving out. The money that they're giving out is so the players that know how to get the higher amounts can buy up the buildings and transform the buildings at the proper timing. And sit on buildings while it's appeasing us, because we say, well, we can buy more food, we can buy more clothes. So at the same time, we're being lullabied to sleep, and we're not paying attention to all the pieces of the puzzle. So once again, do I believe that there is a virus going on? Most definitely. I believe there's flu. I believe there's different levels of it. And the last thing I'll say in this question, my father, right around the time of the beginning of COVID, had all the symptoms, but they never called it COVID. He had a massive heart attack. And it really began the day before he left Pittsburgh. But they diagnosed this when he was on vacation in the clinic. So my point is, even when he came back to Pittsburgh, my father's walking 70 years. Even when he came back to Pittsburgh and kept having issues, the same issues everybody is saying, they never diagnosed it with COVID. The last time he went to the hospital about a week ago, same symptoms I keep asking people about. They said, well, let's do this COVID test. And it came out non-COVID. So I thought it was really strange, because I was like, well, weren't they adding him to a statistic? He would be an excellent statistic. But I figure, okay, probably once he passes, they'll add him to a statistic and just call TOVA. But my whole point of these statistics that I don't test, don't trust being said in different states is because those states will be able to get a certain amount of money to redistrict their cities, helping
So,
what?
to and the whole gentrification.
so you think that this is something that the government is using conspiratorially to further some other interest, for lack of a better word?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. And what about the whole argument that wearing a mask potentially protects a third party from you? I mean, are you not willing to, for lack of a better word, to wear the mask for the sake of somebody else?
Well, I was asked that question at work because people know.
I can't hear you, Cynthia.
I was asked that question at work because people know in my heart, being in service and things that I do in service, so I don't care about people. Why wouldn't you wear a mask? And because I know I'm not sick.
Yeah, keep on leaning because that's how we can hear you.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, when you lean in, we can hear you a lot better.
But we need you to speak up so we can hear you, because what you're saying, I'm sure a lot of other people may feel. And we need to have an educated conversation about, how we can address some of these misnomers, prayerfully, so that, as we move forward, we're better off as a society. So, well, I definitely want to hear what you have to say.
I was trying to see if I can adjust this.
Okay. All right. So I tell you what, we'll get back to you in a second. Andrea, I know you were listening. Jason, I know you were listening. So based on what you heard Cynthia say thus far, what's your perspective on that? Jason, how about you?
Oh.
Go ahead, Jason. Okay, well, I'm not hearing you, Jason. You clicked out.
I had it on mute. I'm sorry. I apologize. So to me, it's not an either or; it's a both and. I think like what's not lost on me, obviously, is that there's a very real part of this because I contracted something and I went through the experience. I lived it personally, and I know others that have done it. To Cynthia's point, there are many people that, as they've learned my story, who have told me that they had these same symptoms in December and January before it became, something that really became nationalized here. Like there's people, because if you remember in the fall, people were talking about this fall being like a very severe flu season. Everybody was talking about how bad the flu was. And, part of these symptoms can seem like flu symptoms.
Sure.
So there were many people that were sick October, November, December. I've had countless people speak to that who are never diagnosed, right? I do believe that, and then I think about how it impacts. We're finding it the way, just like anything else, the disproportionate way that it impacts Black communities and Black people. And in the beginning of this journey, like even my own children, like they were doing the scale of like melanin in their DNA, like that, because the narrative was that if you're a person of color, like COVID, you're just resistant to COVID. That was something that was going on in the beginning. I do believe that there's a responsible way to go about it. And I do believe that those in power, just like anything else, look for opportunity to exploit something. And I see that exploitation happening. So for me, I'm very much, I keep the hand sanitizer with me. I do wear a mask. I understand what's being spoken to, and I think that's a valid point, even around like if you're protecting your mouth, then you should really be just protecting the other aspects of your body, and that does I can't argue with that point, the legitimacy of it, and I would unfortunately there can be an agenda to this, and in that agenda, what we found historically in this country, that the ones who have paid the greatest price are melanated people, and so that bothers me, that concerns me, that makes me angry. So it's a both and, not an either or for me.
Okay. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I definitely would agree. I definitely would agree with Cynthia and with Jason, because this is a time to gain either political aspect from it and like really push an agenda in that way, and then pushing an agenda even with how they're doing the microchips in people now and how to identify. Because now what just happened to cover our face, all right, well, put your handprint on this for work. Okay, let me do your retina scan. Even with these phones and everything, it is all tied in to some political agenda with TikTok, with Instagram, with Zoom, with so many other outlets that are a part of creating this whole thing. 2 years ago on Snapchat, they had a little mask thing starting to program us then 2 years ago to getting us ready now. The Chinese people have been doing it for years. People over in Asia have been wearing masks for years. Now it is trickling into the United States because they call us dumb Americans, because we're so fixated and caught up on other things. We're not focused on what's really at hand. But a lot of us are starting to wake up and be aware. Yeah, I did experience COVID. And yes, I do know it is something that's real. I don't work for the government, never have. You know what I mean? But it is something that's going on. But yet, at the same thing, like what Miss Cynthia said, okay, well, why not our whole bodies? Why are we not in hazmat suits? Why are we sending kids to school and releasing people from prison? So it's so many things. Oh, kids can't get it, but they're curious of it. So you mean to tell me I'm gonna send my child to school? She's want to come home now and have a possibility of bringing it to her mother, to her grandmother, her uncle, whomever that she comes in contact with, but she doesn't get it. she's exempt. But then, yeah, Black people are getting it and more and everything. So yeah, it's there's so many ways around it, and there's so many things when it comes to it. But like you said, keeping your hand sanitizer, monitoring your company, still doing what we need to do as an adult, and always keeping ourselves clean, keeping our house tidy, keeping our hands washed, changing things out, throwing things away that we no longer have no use for after a certain amount of time. But yeah, I do believe there is an agenda that they're like, ooh, perfect time to implement this. Oh yeah, let's slide this under. Let's pass all these laws. So yeah, it's because we're so distracted by so many other things, we're missing the point of what's going on. And then there's some people who's like, oh, she's crazy. He's crazy. Don't pay attention to him. Meanwhile, on the ranch, they've been doing the research and they actually know. So, or have a clue of what's going on.
Let me ask y'all this, all right? So you're shopping at Giant Eagle, right? And somebody walks in the store and they don't have a mask on. Cynthia, do you care? Can you hear me, Cynthia? Okay, we can't hear you, Cynthia. All right, Jason, somebody walks into Giant Eagles, you're there. You got a mask on, they don't. Do you care?
I'll tell you, this has made me much more conscious, aware, and uncomfortable. Like, I'm concerned at the psychological impact. You know, that's an element of this. Even being a COVID person, so answer is yes, short, and the psychological impact on the way we socialize, the way we interact. I've watched and witnessed the way we have shifted as a society. So yeah, I'm careful. Like if I shake somebody, you know, I don't, the gestures, I was very much a touch feel person, splow you up, dap you up, you know, shake your hand, hug, whatever.
Right. Because that was a sign of respect, right?
Right. So like these new norms that we're functioning under, like I find myself much more conscious of it, and I don't like being mindful in those ways because it's not my normal way of being. But I'm paying attention at the very minimal, and I'm watching my distance. If I do touch somebody or something, I'm putting sanitizer on. Like, you know, it's so yes.
I mean, you know, I'm with my kid, and we're, you know, we're somewhere in a social setting, and somebody coughs. I mean, and it's like a bomb just went off, right?
I mean, coughing is a cuss word. Coughing is a cuss word.
Oh man, yeah, it is, right? I mean, you're trying to judge how close you are to that person, and you know, you're like, dang, do I got COVID now?
But look, can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
We hear you now. All right.
Okay. But look how they've put fear. Look how they've put judgment, how we judge one another. I've seen people literally have fights. I have a friend who's a very intellectual friend, doctor, and he posted something so rude. And I'm like, why are we fighting over wear a mask, not a mask? If you go back to the very beginning, they've been pitting us against each other. They started with essential, non-essential workers. So those who got to work at home, those who did not get to work at home. Then they started pitting against who was getting stimulus checks, who wasn't getting who's getting unemployment.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second, Cynthia. So essential versus non-essential. So do you think that we need certain people to continue to work so that we can continue to maintain our economy?
I don't focus on the economy. I'm trying to focus on what's really going on in terms of what they're doing and what their moves are. What are they're trying to instill fear within us. I choose not to have fear. I choose to go by my spirit. I will say I was on my way home once on a bus and I felt in my spirit, put on your mask right now. And I realized there could be somebody there that could affect me and hurt me. So I listened to my spirit. But in general, I'm not allowing them to instill fear in me because one, like I said, the mask is for me to protect you guys against me. I know I don't have a sickness. So why should I make you feel comfortable by putting something on and trusting a government who I don't trust for nothing? So why am I going to trust them now?
So it's not necessarily about the government, but maybe it's about Jason and Andrea. Maybe it's about me. Maybe the fact that you wear the mask makes us feel secure in our ability to lead somewhat of a normal life as best we can. So your position is that you don't feel an obligation to make us feel comfortable by wearing the mask. Is that what you're saying?
It's not that, but that's asking almost like a white person when they see my color on my skin, hey, don't be afraid of me. I'm a safe Black person. Does that make sense? And that's how I see the mask it's another way of dividing. It's another way of social distancing. Well, if you follow the narratives and the words, socialism. If you watch everything that's happening, it's all socialism, the free money, the social distancing, the pitting against one another, the hierarchy in socialism. So, yes.
Okay. Well,
can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that I was, because I'm analyzing and watching at the same time as being impacted by it. Something I found interesting is the moment that they decided to put race as a way of identifying this process, right? Because when it first hit United States, it wasn't a racialized. We weren't doing demographics based on race. It was just, how is it showing up in states? And then all of a sudden it became a push to look at it racially. And then there was a consequence based upon how we were policing people and places based upon who we believe to be, more of a carrier or more of a hotspot. And so just how the melanated bodies begin to be dealt with in this process, very, so that's something I just would add to it in addition to having it. That's why I say it's not either or, it's both and to me.
I get you. So let me ask you this question. We got 5 minutes left for the show. So let me ask you this. So how do we go forward? If Cynthia is not willing to wear the mask because she believes that, it violates her, her social norms or her constitutional rights. If she's not willing to wear it, right, she can't be the only one. I'm sure there's tons of other people who feel just like her. Clearly, the virus exists because the two of you have said it does, because you both have gotten it. So how do we go forward and potentially prevent our kids, our grandmothers, our uncles, and other people from being infected by this disease? Cynthia, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Thank you. once again, I didn't say the virus didn't exist. I said it exists on different levels. My body was created to have an immune system that should fight it off. And I see it like any other virus. Every year people get flus and viruses. So my body should fight it off. If I'm going to wear a mask, because remember, long-term chess playing, the mask is going to affect you, because the longer you wear the mask, you're breathing back in your carbon dioxide, which means you're putting waste products back into your body. So 5 chess moves down the road, you're going to have some type of illness or something like that. So if I'm going to wear a mask when it gets to the next level, when it really becomes serious, I'm going to wear the type, which they should be telling you, the type with the ventilation out of it, and a whole suit possibly, or whatever. But if it's just a mask, and I'm wearing the one that ventilates the air out, because my whole point that I'm trying to say is these masks now are not protecting us from anything. It's just them testing and seeing compliance and things like that. So in the future, I will wear the one with the ventilation.
All right, good enough. Jason.
I think one of the primary things, I do agree with Cynthia's point around fear. I think the way that we solve for this is to not be controlled by fear, but what does it mean to move in love? How do we make sound decisions, whether you make that choice or not? Because now you have this thing where people are trying to police each other, and there's a lot of tension within our society. And I see the baiting that's going on with that. So I think like we need moments to meditate, get balanced, get grounded, and how do we strategize? Like, what are the responsible things that we should do? How do we encourage that? And when we find folks that are resistant, what's a way that we can deal with that's not destructive to myself or that other person? So I would say that we should definitely be moving our actions in love, not fear.
Okay. Andrea.
Yeah, definitely. What they said, they said it perfect. You know what I mean? Definitely. Fear can take over. And if you let fear set in, then it controls and creates a whole bunch of other things. But yet, using your discernment is very important. If the Lord says don't go that way that day or don't go in there, you have to listen to that. Like, you know what, God, you are right. Let me go ahead and just go this way. Not saying that we won't be set out to do the task that we're supposed to be doing, but discernment. Not walking in fear, but walking with peace, love, and a sound mind. And Psalms 91, no sickness nor disease shall come nigh my dwelling. It came nigh my dwelling because people that I know who weren't convinced that this is real, they respect me enough. I had to be the one to conquer it, not survive it, but conquer it, meaning I overcame it, to talk to people who look up to me, to the influence that I have. Like, you know what, y'all, this is serious, but still wash your hands. Make sure if you are frequent around people who you know. But yeah, if you want to wear your mask, but yet still do the research, because they do say they're not healthy long term, because we are breathing in our own carbon monoxide. So it's just, like I said, faith over fear, using your discernment, but still we have to take the proper steps and precautions of what they have right out there right about now for us, but yet still just be prayed up. You know what I mean? But be realistic. Prayed up and realistic, I would say.
Well, listen, that's our time here. I don't know that, we had enough time to completely discuss all of the issues that are surrounding COVID-19. But one thing that I want to compliment all three of you on is your ability to add, more information to this, highly, debatable issue. And the respect upon which you show one another's opinion and your ability to look at, not just the norm that you see on CNN or Fox, but the real issues that are affecting each one of you individually. So I want to thank you all for being guests here on my show. I know that you could be anywhere else in the world, but still you're right here with me. I sent you guys gifts, as a way of me thanking you, for your love and kindness. I hope you guys, will take some pictures, and post them on Facebook. For those of you guys, who listen to, this show today, do me a favor and leave me some comments. Leave Cynthia and Jason and Andrea some comments and let us know what you think. Add to the conversation, because as long as we continue to talk about this thing, I'm sure eventually we're going to get enough information so that we can all be safe going forward. So from me to you, God bless you. Thank you very much and have a great day.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort straight to the